Welcome to the show where we share the stories of the many who intersect with our healthcare system but are rarely heard from. My name is Kevin Poe, founder and editor of Kevin MD. Today, we welcome back on the show Robin Ali Hay. She is an obstetrician gynecologist and a life coach, and she wrote the Kevin MD article, The Profound Experience of Being Naked with Other Doctors. Robin, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Kevin.
So for those who didn't get a chance to listen to our first few episodes, let's briefly share your story and journey to where you are today.
Yeah, I have retired my medical practice except for nonprofit work and am a physician life coach now.
And how has that transition been?
Wonderful. Actually, I love what I do. I mean, that was the main thing, finding something. I love what I do.
What kind of training did you have to become a life coach?
Well, I started about 10 years ago, and I went to an institution that is, qualified to teach coaching. And really, to be an adequate life coach, you need to go through the process yourself. And then more recently, I worked with Francine Gaylor in Physician Coach Institute and a specialty just around physicians, coaching physicians on wellness and performance.
So tell me some of the common issues that your physician clients face when they come to you.
Burnout is a big one. And then career and trying to make a decision, life decision transition.
In terms of the advice and direction that you give them, what are some of the most common themes of those?
I think, by the time almost everybody has kind of a low baseline of burnout. And it's really important to get people into a parasympathetic state more than because when you're surviving, you're in a sympathetic state, and that's stress. And we do this by looking at what their ideal future would be so that we can find where they'd like to have their life, say, in 10, 15 years, and really nail down the purpose and the passions of the client so that they can move forward in an empowered way. So that's kind of how my coaching goes.
So when you ask that question to physicians, what do you imagine your life to be in 10 to 15 years?
Mm-hmm.
And you ask that question the very first time, in general, what are the responses?
In general, mostly people want to stay in practice and they see themselves, I mostly work with women, so they see themselves with practice balance is what they see themselves with, and knowing their purpose. And, sometimes clients have a hard time even thinking that far in advance, but that's part of the coaching, which is, find those passions.
Do you find that a lot of your clients have passions outside of clinical medicine when they first come to you?
Not a lot. Most physicians have their head down, especially right now. And when you're head down and you're in a stress mode, you're going to be more focused on what's right in front of you and not the bigger picture. So it's really kind of a wake-up call to, we can design your life the way you want it. It's totally possible for you to do that.
And when you talk to these physicians about designing their lives the way they want to, how difficult is it for them to get their head outside of clinical medicine?
It's difficult. I mean, we're talking burnout just gets you just so in this space of you don't see anything outside of yourself. So it really starts with rest and, doing those activities with family and rediscovering passions. Sometimes it's helpful to go back in time to before you became a doctor. What were the things that really interested you? When you became a doctor, what were the things that had you go into medicine? Those kind of questions can get them there. But sometimes it's really hard to get there.
All right. So let's talk more about the Kevin MD article that you wrote, The Profound Experience of Being Naked with Other Doctors. Certainly sounds like an interesting experience. Now, for those who didn't get a chance to read your story, can you just briefly summarize it and share why you decided to write it?
Well, so the story is about, I put myself in a retreat that I did that was a physician retreat. And we were at a facility that clothes were optional in the hot tubs, in their hot springs, really, they're not hot tubs, the hot springs. And it was just a really amazing, kind of life altering for me experience to, be in this vulnerable place with other physicians. And it was really healing for me. And it really reminded me that, we're human beings. I think sometimes physicians, we exchange information, we're kind of like walking heads going around hospitals, and we're not really embodied a lot of the time. And so to actually connect with the body and connect with the bodies of the other physicians was really kind of a mind-blowing kind of experience.
Now, was this sprung upon you, or was this something that was an expected?
It was expected. Yeah, when I signed up for the retreat. I mean, I actually didn't know that we were going to, actually, it was kind of a surprise, but knowing the facility that it was in, I knew that clothes would be optional just in the tubs.
So you mentioned that it was a life-altering experience for
Mhm.
you and the other physicians who were there. Go into more detail about how that experience changed your life.
Well, I think, you come in, a lot of people are burned out. Some people are thinking about leaving medicine, and you think you're alone in all those feelings and all those difficulties. And so you come in and connect with a group of people that are telling their stories. And you find out that you have so much in common on a human level with all those physicians. It takes a bit to break down those barriers that we have to getting really vulnerable and to a deep friendship level. And by sharing is so powerful to connect.
So you were in the hot springs naked with other physicians. What kind of stories did you hear the other physicians talking about?
I heard stories of burnout, just working way too hard and looking for another alternative to their current job. I heard about some traumatic stress from like residency programs and practicing medicine that weren't healed yet. And I heard some just looking for a new way to practice medicine and reconnect with their love of medicine.
And what were some of the solutions and options that you heard about reconnecting with their passion of medicine again?
Well, in this particular retreat, we were talking about doing your own like direct practice, really low overhead, and kind of practice as just, family doctor, and getting back to basics with medicine and outside the whole EMR system and the insurance companies and all of that.
I can't think of anything more vulnerable than being naked in a hot spring with 20 strangers around you. How difficult was it for you to be that vulnerable?
Yeah, I guess it just really struck me how there were so many other people that have been through similar life events. And that really helped, to be at ease when you connect through sharing. And I guess I felt like, I'm a doctor. Dealing with bodies is kind of the thing we do. So I felt kind of like, well, this is a good opportunity to shed those layers and soak them off. And that's part of what I describe in the article.
Are there any lessons from this experience that you could take with you as you go on with your coaching practice and as you coach other physicians?
I think remember you're not alone. I know, Kevin, I've been on previously, and I say that with medicine can be kind of a lonely place if you're not connected to a support group or your own support. You're not alone out there. And especially right now, check in with each other. Remember that there's human beings. Medicine's all about the human beings. And so take care of each other.
We're talking to Robin Ali Hay. She is an obstetrician gynecologist and a life coach, and she wrote the Kevin MD article, The Profound Experience of Being Naked with Other Doctors. Robin, if you were to do this experience all over again, is this something that you would do again?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And in fact, I would lead a retreat.
And my final question, what are some of your take-home messages that you want to leave with the Kevin MD audience?
Really, the you're not alone, and to check in with each other. And thank you to all those physicians that are just overwhelmed right now. Thank you for taking care of those of us outside the system.
Robin, thank you so much for coming back on the show and sharing your story.
Thank you, Kevin.